Aloha, this is Rosa McAllister of Networks for Training and Development Incorporated, and we're here today to launch a new series on being a service warrior. This series has been brewing and percolating inside of me for a very, very long time. You see, I've always been attracted to kind of the grittier, if you will, amongst us. Those who have clearly seen much, didn't always get the easy pass in life, have walked through some real fires, and somehow have come out the other side, choosing to be of service to others in one way or another. And probably many would say they are still trying to find their way through. This is a series of interviews with some amazing firewalkers, as I like to call us, that I've had the extraordinary honor to meet and get to know. To hear some of their journey, how it has sculpted who they are, what they do, and where this has taken them. If you are joining us via YouTube, please hit the subscribe button so that you can catch more wonderful stories in this series, and check out 2 other items in our network's channel here on YouTube. Also, feel free to check out this and many other items via our website, www.networksfortraining.org, particularly at our online university, which is where we have posted many other things, this series, webinars, podcasts, articles, and so much more. Mahalo, thank you for joining us. Always remember, you are the light. Be the light. Hi, this is Rosa McAllister, today's first guest in this new series. To start this off properly, I felt I had to do it myself. That is, to interview myself in the same way I will be interviewing others. I mean, could I really ask others to share their stuff and not do the same myself? As many of us feel, talking about myself is not easy for me, especially airing some of my pains, my hurts, my foibles, and troubling episodes of my life. As they say, none of us gets through this thing called life without a few bumps and bruises. But hopefully we use these so-called opportunities for learning as just that. Damn opportunities for learning. So here I go, asking myself the same types of questions I will be asking others, and with the same directive to only answer that which I want to share. Please know that while I will not be going into details, some of this is the first time that I'm airing it publicly outside of a therapist's office or group. Oh, here we go. So, Rosa, who are you? How would you describe yourself? I am a daughter, a sister, a mother, a tutu, which is grandmother, a friend, a dreamer, a risk taker. I am vulnerable and emotional, a soul searcher, a forever learner, a teacher, and a Pollyanna who believes in all things being possible. Rosa, if I were to ask 3 to 5 people who know you well, how might they describe you? What you do, what you're all about? I've heard people describe me as strong and powerful, a leader, focused, smart, giving, and yeah, some days. But I also think some would say I can be sharp-tongued and too exacting. I've always worked in the nonprofit and academic worlds, and I've heard some call me a bleeding heart. Some say I give too much or I care too much, and frankly, I hope they're right. Rosa, sometimes it's interesting to think back on our journey and our life in chapters or themes rather than specific events or episodes or things that happened. If you were to do this, what would have been your chapters? Well, I guess the first was childhood and trying to fit in, as I was born into a large family and I was the youngest. I was very sensitive, maybe oversensitive, and I saw and felt things that others didn't notice, and I didn't know that for a very long time. I struggled physically with feet and leg problems, and there were doctors and therapists and appliances and very painful treatments. There was also shame and embarrassment. I was very curious and always watching others, and there was a lot of unsureness about myself, and I was painfully shy, and going inwards helped me find peace, often in an imaginary world. I had wonderful friends, and there were family struggles. I had an insatiable thirst for learning, and then I found dance, particularly ballet, and a teacher who never said I couldn't, not with those legs or feet. And she helped me believe in myself. Teens and adulthood, importance of friends, floating between crowds of kind of the rowdies and the intellectuals. I tried to fit in and trying to find ways to fit in. So there was a lot of exploring of my freedoms and music and drugs, as well as healthful living and spirituality. There was more family struggles and pretty intense ones, and I tried to extract myself in many ways. But also there was dance and poetry, which I wrote and read and became almost obsessed with. I hid parts of my true self from many who were close to me while I was exploring more of who I was and wanted to be. I found Ram Dass, and he became a lifelong guide and teacher. And there were several deaths in close proximity and great fragility. There were saviors who appeared, and there was counseling, and a real concerted effort to find me within me and be okay with it. There was travel, and then some settling down and settling in. I got married. I became a mom to an extremely amazing boy named Michael, and found joy I had never known, and a level of spirituality I had never known in being a mom. There was also the real start of a career and kind of a deep longing and a desire for more, but there was real conflict around that. The being a mom and wanting a career and wanting more in life and more of who I was and who I was supposed to be. In my late 20s and 30s, there was divorce and desperately trying to hold everything together for my young son, and not always doing such a good job of it. For example, I had 3 car accidents in a month. None were my fault. And I lost more than 30 pounds in a few months, which had people close to me very worried about me, I know. There was even more exploring and increased motherhood joy and career success that was kind of on a path of its own. There was huge learning and many relationships and lots of fun. But there was also financial worries and all that comes with being a single parent, work and home stress, and I tried my best to hide it and appear in control. In my 40s and my 50s, it was really about finding soul connections. There was marriage again, a very joyous one, with real partnership and birthing of a business together, Networks for Training and Development, Mike and I created together. There was more travel, and it was intermixed with work, and my life, my home life, and my work life all blended, and it worked really well. There was kind of a refinding of me and a building on my earlier sensitivities and acknowledging it and wearing it proudly. And then there came Maui. Unexpectedly, surprisingly, and beautifully. And I knew immediately when I touched the ground here in Maui that somehow this was my future. My mama-ness transitioned into tutu-ness with the birth of sweet Ethan. And there was exciting planning for a next chapter and new increased studying and new materials and new stuff. And there was moving and excitement about building, kind of starting a new home here in Maui. And then there was crashing and huge, deep, bottomless grief. There was more counseling and digging into the darkest of places, many that I had hidden away and protected with great walls. There was gradually somehow a rebuilding of me and then becoming a tutu again with the arrival of the audacious Olivia, who taught me many things and is still teaching me, most of all, that I could love again. And now I'm in my 60s, and there's a sense of really owning who I am, who I really am, and have probably always been, or have always almost been. There's amazing travel I get to do, and I refer to it as spiritual travel because it feeds me, and it's going to amazing places and helping, but it's also learning from teachers there and from these places themselves that I never would otherwise know. I'm involved in helping diverse groups and allowing love in again and feeling real fullness and joy in life, and honoring my vulnerabilities and not just my strengths. There's a real reveling in my son, who is now a man and a dad himself, and having a part in the life of my sweet grandkids on a regular basis because they're here too. There's increased energies and focus and dreaming and imagining and finding true wellness, finally, of my body and my soul. And yet still there's questioning of who I am and what my purpose is. There's incredible deep connections that have just miraculously appeared over the last handful of years. There's receiving amazing love and support from many. But all of this is not to say that the traumas don't rear up and sometimes slam me, especially the more I dive into this work of helping others who live with trauma. So I guess the chapters, the themes, in summation, I've had periods of my life when I struggled to even walk. I have been sexually abused, assaulted, and harassed. I had an eating disorder very early in life due to trauma. I've had multiple deaths of loved ones in very close succession and more than once. I've seen the best and the worst of myself, the strongest and the most fragile. There have been many, many days when if I could just open the shutters or the curtains, it was a win. And I've also had the blessings of yoga and meditation in my life since I was 12 years old. Great friends, incredible family, amazing opportunities, a career I never could have imagined, and teachers who appeared just as I needed them most. I've received love and support even when I didn't feel I deserved it. And yeah, this life has been very interesting and not necessarily easy, but I'm extraordinarily blessed, and I'm not sure I would undo any of it for what it has taught me, what it has brought me, and who I am today. Rosa, you've already mentioned this a little bit, but how have these experiences, where have they taken you and led you to in your life? From the time I was very young, I've always wanted to help others, and even in my darkest and most vulnerable of times, I found absolute joy helping someone else, as I often call it, getting out of my own head. Whether it was playing checkers with one of my childhood best friend's sister, Gloria, who had disabilities, or taking in a friend who was in an abusive relationship more than once, helping someone dream impossible dreams of their future, massaging the feet of someone who is dying, or dancing with a woman who is truly moving her hips for the first time after years of abuse. I've often said this idea of being of service has been my best therapy, and even though it was never the original goal, Being of service to others fills my cup and helps me incredibly. And then I'm compelled to give more. Rosa, what's your passion, your driving passion, your mantras for living? There's several. And some of you may have heard some of these before. Always try to find the smallest thing in a situation that is positive, or at least not horrific. Acknowledge it and watch it grow. Find someone that needs something that I can provide or a way I can help, even in the smallest way, and give it, even though, and maybe most importantly, when I feel I have nothing to give. Don't wait. Do it. Don't ask for permission. Live without a bucket list. Mike taught me that. Tell the universe your dreams. The universe is always listening and wants to help. In many ways, my mom taught me that. And last but not least, probably the most important, dance, sing, laugh, kiss, love, repeat, often, many times. Rosa, what are you still working on? What are you still working through? And what can we expect? What is next or also on your wish list to do in life? Well, I am truly a work in progress. Honestly, I can sometimes fly off the handle too quickly. My words are sometimes too sharp. My passions are strong and sometimes can overpower. I am not always very patient. In fact, my mother used to say, careful and wait are not in Rosa's vocabulary. I am still learning, and I hope I always will be. I have several new projects, like this on Being a Service Warrior series, that are crystallizing and taking shape and actually coming to fruition. And I also have many swirling ideas and dreams that are still forming, and I hope many more that are way back there in the recesses of my heart, my brain, my something, and are going to come forward. I just know that there are many teachers I've yet to meet with many lessons to learn, and I welcome them, even the hard ones. I know that there's many places yet to see and many opportunities still waiting for me. And frankly, most days, I can't wait for tomorrow. I try to live in the day, in today, in the present, the be here now, but many times I can't wait for tomorrow. So, Rosa, going back to our first question, earlier question, who are you? After talking all of this through, who are you? I am Rosa Catherine Bott Landis McAllister. I am a dreamer and a believer and a doer and a survivor and a handholder and a heartful, joyful lover of life. Aloha and mahalo. This series on Being a Service Warrior is brought to you by Networks for Training and Development Incorporated via funding by the Philadelphia and Northumberland Counties Behavioral Health Intellectual Disability Services in Pennsylvania, and with the help of Joe Sterling of Joe Doggy Productions, Waikapu, Hawaii. Many thanks to all our guests and fellow firewalkers for sharing their wisdom, learnings, and joy with us.